to Simpler. We are three pastors, husbands, and fathers on a journey to make life simpler by holding Jesus as the core for every belief and practice. This journey has shaped us to be more like Christ, freed us from the shame of failure, and encouraged us to a deeper love of our Lord and God. We invite you to join us in the discussions that have shaped and continue to shape our lives.
I think I feel like I probably ask this question every year, but what are y'all's Thanksgiving traditions that you do?
Beats,
yeah.
Beats, Bears, Battlestar Galactica.
Michael!
Is that an Office quote?
Yeah.
It is, yeah. He's
I don't remember that one.
I think it's a cold open where Jim shows up dressed as Dwight. He shows up dressed as Dwight.
He came dressed as Dwight.
Dressed as Dwight and Aminals.
In the office today, dressed as Dwight.
Oh, he's dressed as Dwight.
And he just walks in and he's like, Bears, Beats, Battlestar Galactica.
What is going on? What are you doing? Identity theft's not a joke, Jim. And he pulls out the bobblehead. Michael!
That's right. I did remember that one.
Yeah, there was a shirt in my pre-watching The Office days. There was a shirt that I had quite a few friends had. Do you remember those shirts that were Helvetica font that were just like 3 words? That it started from Epic Mealtime. It usually was just bacon, 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 and then a lot of people picked up on that trend. And this one was Bears Beats Battlestar Galactica, and I had no idea the joke, but like everybody else did. So it was one of those ones where I was like,
That's
I don't
funny.
care to ask questions. I'll
I'll
laugh.
start with B.
I'll just laugh and point. I too enjoy alliteration.
Traditions, not really. The last, I guess, 3 years or something, we've done the turkey bowl. So me and my boys against my brother-in-law and his boys, we play the turkey bowl and play some football.
Oh, football.
And so I think they're up 2-1. I think that they've won 2.
Do y'all have a trophy?
We don't.
You should get a turkey trophy.
Well, I tell you this, we did have a family tradition for a while that we started back in, like 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a card game called golf. And we had a golf trophy. And so we had a big golf tournament. We'd play like 10 rounds or whatever. And whoever had the lowest score combined after 10 rounds was the winner.
Yeah.
And I won the very first year. And I was super excited. And so I had the trophy for a year. And then never won again. We played like 7 more years. The trophy was passed around, and then one year we were like the trophy had broken or had gotten lost or something. So everybody put in $10,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that we just quit. So we're reviving that this year. We're bringing back the golf tournament this year.
Nice. So. Yeah, I'm curious what it's going to be this year for us because I mean, as there's family changes. There's changes in what you do. So my grandpa passed away this year. I mean, obviously he was in a home, but it included going up there and playing games with him. And so, and there's,
he always played games and stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, up until, hey, look at us, man, matching.
I forgot.
That's only shirts you have, right?
Yeah.
It's just black shirts.
I
wasn't even watching him over there.
Yeah. I think this is the first time I've forgotten. So.
What I'll do, Micah, is superimpose a still image of you now, and just for the first bit of the conversation. It's just perfectly so, and then jump into it. They'll never know.
Oh well,
I'm back.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, the quick change.
Well, I'm also curious. Like, I'm trying to figure out what do we fight for as a family. There's part of me like really enjoys those old traditions, like of all of us getting together certain days, Christmas, Thanksgiving. This is the typical American holiday traditions, and playing games, hanging out, eating snacks all day, and then you make the turkey sandwiches at night. Just the different little things you would do. And I was thinking but we're also at a point like between me and my cousins, like all of us have kids, all of us have grown up. So it's just, do we fight for that, or do we just be like, you know what, that was awesome when we had it, and now when we have a chance, let's hang out and do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to figure out, do we want this year even? Do we want to like fight to make Thanksgiving and Christmas look the way that we know it has in the past, or do we just make new traditions?
Yeah.
So
we do every Christmas Eve with Michelle's family, and then we do Christmas morning on our own. Like
nice.
Everybody's on their own for Christmas morning.
I think it's a personality thing too. Like you choose what's important to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Football.
With Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the best thing about the day for us is
it's football.
After we eat, we usually eat a lunch
Mhm.
or like a late lunch.
Yeah.
And then it's like you just sit fat and happy on the couch and watch football.
I don't like, my mom did this growing up. We would do like lunch like at 3:00.
I like
That's
that laugh so
terrible.
much. It's just that interjected laugh you did. We used to do this. Ha ha. It tickled me so much.
Yeah, but like
Lunch at 3:00, i.e.
we just need to get started. Oh, none of us are okay today. None of us are okay today.
No.
We can't talk. I've got a headache.
Oh, man.
Wow. So anyway, what are we talking about today, Pierce?
Oh, man.
What are we talking about today, Pierce?
We're talking about Thanksgiving. We're talking about thankfulness. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. What's the Tuesday? This is
I was
Tuesday.
like, it's not Thanksgiving yet.
So in 2 days, Happy Thanksgiving week.
You were crying.
Man, it was bad. I was already at this like weird haha moment with your laugh, and then I got messed up his words. Oh, that was good. Happy Thanksgiving this week.
Man. Week of
Thanksgiving Eve. Yeah. So
I'm gonna dwef at Dwight.
Dwight says Dwight for this Thanksgiving. So yeah. I'll throw it to you guys as the audience. Let us know your traditions. What do you guys do? What have y'all done? What foods do you enjoy to eat and stuff like that? So every year what we do, the week of Thanksgiving, is we discuss with one another what we've been thankful for over the past year, and kind of where we are in regards to the mindset of thankfulness and things like that necessarily. So yeah, I think that's that's just kind of basically it. We just go between us. And so, Ryan, did you want to kick us off?
I can, sure. So this year has been, it's been a very interesting year. I have been exhausted physically, just haven't felt well health-wise for a long time. Nothing major. We've run all these tests, so nothing major is wrong, which is awesome. But we are still trying to figure out what is going on in my system that's just causing me to be dragging all the time. Art, man, I have not put nearly as much time in art. This is my worst year in terms of creating art and selling art in about 5 years, and that's totally on me. I have made myself a lot more busy with church stuff, and I've really enjoyed that. Yeah. But I do enjoy painting, and it is still about 35% of my income, and so it's super beneficial for me. Yeah. But it's been interesting. So I think one of the things that I am most thankful for this year is going all the way back to August, September 2022. I've kind of changed some things that I've been doing in terms of my study and my reading, and just making more notes, thinking a lot more intentionally about the Bible, spending a lot more time in the Bible than I ever have before. And year over year, well, a month away from wrapping up this year I will have spent more time in the Bible than I ever have in a single year in my life. And it's been really refreshing for me. Mm-hmm. I feel like, I'll say it this way. I feel like I'm on the precipice of being thankful for a lot of things that haven't quite come to fruition yet. So what I mean by that is I feel as though God is doing something in my life that I don't even know at this point how to verbalize. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I feel God drawing me to a place where I enjoy him more, where I delight in him more. But I don't know still what that's going to look like. There have been some things that I have noticed just from a practical standpoint, things that I am finding more pleasure in the things of God and less pleasure in not things that some people who go, I'm liking my sin less and I'm loving God more. And for me, it's not that. There has been, I'm so afraid to say this because I don't want anybody to take it as a rule or a law. I'm not making it a rule or a law. I like my downtime. There are times that I just need my brain to not be engaged, not teaching, not studying, not writing, just free. What I have found is, for me, if I'm not guarded on that, an hour of downtime from my brain will become 4 hours of downtime. And then I can I can fall off that really quickly and just not use my time well. There's a balance for me.
Interesting.
And so I'm not really good at just taking a moment. If I take a moment, I end up taking the whole day, and I don't.
And that's a problem
for me.
I gotcha.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking a whole day off.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that for me, there are times that I'm like, okay, look, I just need a little break. I need a little rest.
I see. Like during the day, you're trying to take a little break.
And I don't get back into my things that I need to get back into, right? So whether that's finishing a painting or I'm allowing myself to be distracted too much. And so I am finding in those moments, not condemnation, I am finding in those moments a pull back into the things of God and a pull back into like a desire for the things of God.
That's cool.
So that's why I say I want to be really careful. I'm not trying to create a line or a system for people. There are things that God is doing in my life. There are, I don't know. I have been praying intentionally for a couple of months, probably somewhere midsummer to now. I've been praying that God would help me to delight in things that he delights in and not to delight in things he doesn't delight in. Because I'm convinced, in part from Hebrews 12, that there are sins that entangle us, and then there are also things that hinder us that are in a different category than sin. And so sin feels mostly obvious to me. Like I know that this thing didn't glorify God, but I've been praying more intentionally over the last 3 or 4 months. What are the things that are hindering me from enjoying you properly? So I feel like next year when we do this, I'm going to be able to say, oh my gosh, guys, let me show you all these things that God has been teaching me. I'm so excited for it. I'm so grateful for it. I think right now what I'm grateful for is I am very aware that I'm on a journey with the Lord, and I just don't know what the fruit of that's going to be yet. So I don't have a lot to say about that other than I know that I'm in this mode of moving forward. And for whatever reason, I feel now, Pierce, looking at you, like I need to say it's kind of, I feel like, Tolkien-esque,
Sounds like it, yeah.
And I'm excited to see what comes of this. And
that's a really funny description. It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm a storyteller, and I knew Pierce would like that and appreciate it. And so I don't know, man.
It's like Quidditch.
that one I would not have used as an example, probably, unless I was only catering to Pierce. Yeah. But
it's really, this is probably the wrong use of the word ironic, but what's ironic about that? You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Alanis Morissette was wrong actually, on every single one of those.
The image that J.K. Rowling tried to paint by designing Quidditch was circumstances in life, which is funny, right? So like talking about working hard. Well, you don't know. Do you know the ins and outs of Quidditch?
No.
Okay. It doesn't matter.
I listened to the first book, but like was bored out of my mind. So.
There was like a whole bunch of backlash concerning the rules which makes sense from a sports perspective. And she's like, I'm not trying to write a sports book. Here's the imagery I'm trying to paint with the picture.
But it's a freaking sport.
But it's a sport. I personally, I know me and you are never going to agree on Harry Potter, but personally, I enjoy this. Some of my favorite chapters to read.
Wait.
She wrote
I'm trying to do life lessons through a sport, but I don't care about the rules because I'm not caring about the sport. No, she does care about the rules,
but it's for a literary purpose instead of
if there's a problem with the rules, it'd be like someone saying like, hey, this book was written really bad in terms of literary. Well, I wasn't really trying to do like a literature book. I was trying to write a story. It's like, it's a sport or it's not a sport. Like, take your pick.
Yeah. Well, and then the Americans made their own version of it with sticks between their legs so they can run around.
Is that what you're thankful for?
Yeah. It's for being able to watch those videos of people running around with sticks between their legs.
I'm just like, obviously I'm a little irritated because it's a bunch of non-sport people playing. And I'm just like, it's either a sport or it's not a sport.
What's crazy, I'd be curious about your view on it as an athlete, but I remember watching some of the clips from the UT games that they had, and there were some people that I was like, holy crap, dude, this guy is getting it. Just going down the field with this ball, like ready with a stick, but they have to keep one hand, which is awkward, on the broom at all times. But the broom is like, no joke, this big, so it's not even like a full size broom. But this dude was playing it like more of an intramural football type game where he's shoulder checking people, he's pushing them out of the way, and I was like, this guy's getting it. Like he's getting the quaffle.
Everybody else playing that way too?
No. So those weren't the clips they were sharing. They were sharing the clips of this guy because
he's athlete that loves Harry Potter.
No, or he was like, it's off season, I gotta go. I'll go tackle some nerds while I'm doing it.
Well, let me wrap up really quickly.
My apologies.
Here.
I didn't mean to take. You said
I'm
Tolkien, and I was
that
like,
I've never
it's
played
time for me to
Quidditch.
talk.
I am also thankful for Micah. You mentioned this last week that you and I have had over 21 years of friendship, oftentimes struggled with trusting God for our provision. And there have been so many examples again this year of where God has just met the needs of my family and taken care of us. And we're not poor. I didn't have to. I was trying to remind my family recently, we're not poor. We have a lot of stuff, but we're also not rich. We need to be careful with how we're spending our money, right? But just to know that God is always providing for us. And what has been really cool is that this year I've seen both of my boys voice at different times how cool it is to watch God provide for us, like when we have a need or when something comes up and they're like, man, and Asher made the point one time, he said, Dad, super cool to me how you always sell a painting right when we have a need. And he goes, and he's beginning to connect that to the things of God. And so that's been really neat to see that begin to develop in my boys at this early age, which is something that I at 48 still struggle to understand. And so I'm very grateful that my boys are catching what I couldn't catch at their age and didn't catch at their age. And so it's been neat to watch them grow. And I don't know. People have asked me, with the church building, are you super excited about the church building? Are you super excited that more people are coming? And I said, not really. Like, to me, like, the number of people in the church building aren't exciting to me. It's going to make things so much nicer to be in one service and stuff like that. And I think that there are benefits to it.
One service.
For 2 months. But I think the thing that I'm excited about is I don't want to exaggerate it. So I have had scores of conversations with people over this past year who are like, man, I feel like I am enjoying God more than I've ever enjoyed him. I'm feeling freedom in Christ more than I've ever felt. And so I feel like that's the part that I'm super excited about with our church and where things are going with the 456 is that people seem to be coming to a place where they're finally taking hold of their identity in Christ. Yeah. And that has been the most exciting part for me over this past year. And I have loved it. I have loved every minute of every teaching opportunity I've had over this past year and can't wait for next, So that's where I'm at. Very, very thankful for, and I feel really blessed to have the family that I have with Michelle and the boys. Just always a joy and a delight. And so that's where I'm thankful.
Nice. All right, now we'll get started. What are we talking about today, Ryan? I think to branch off some of the stuff you've said, Ryan, as
you don't have to be thankful for your own crap. Come on,
I know.
Man.
I have it right down here. Well, actually, I didn't write it down. This is a secret one. And Micah, you mentioned something last episode about finances as well, about how you've gotten to a place where you're not asking for provision, but there's just an aspect of how you trust God just in general. Like you're not, I forgot how you said that.
I said, I've been like, when we praise the family, we just thank him for his constant provision.
There we go. Yeah. So like, I think this year, which I feel like I've probably said this or I've definitely felt it over the past few years. This year, it's just still so noticeable how the Lord has settled me in him, if that makes sense. Like, so on that same heartbeat of just like the different little things that I feel like God has kind of guided me to try to help narrow down, especially for our young adults with our conversations, but like, don't allow conviction to become condemnation. Like, these little things that are normal for the gospel, but it's just, like that was such an issue with my Christian life, was just me condemning myself day in and day out for so long. And I just think that I think that's still going to be a journey. I think that I'm going to continue to settle in the things of God and continue to be more comfortable in that. But I felt like for years, up until the last few years, that my relationship with God, that maybe the way to put it was felt more free form than foundational, if that makes sense. Like, in the way of like, I didn't feel as solid as I do now.
I got you.
If that makes sense. I know it's not about feeling necessarily, but I think that's what I mean about being settled. Like it's weird when people speak in things that are contrary to the truth of the gospel or who God is. Cause I'm like, well, that's not, what are you talking about? Like it's not just like, well, wait a minute, where are you coming from? It's like, no, it's stupid. What are you doing? with this and with foundational basic issues like our basic topics like who we are in Jesus, what the cross accomplished, what the empty grave, what the cross and the empty grave accomplished. And so I'm just thankful. I wish I could have thought of more specific examples, but just I'm thankful that that the ways of God and the character of God and who God is has found an active home in my heart, mind, and speech. And how it's not like I have to, like I had to years ago, like force myself to think or remember or say things a certain way, but rather now branching off of same language from last week, I have the opportunity to proclaim the things of God. I have the opportunity to worship the Lord. I have the opportunity, and like these are things that are I'm thankful for the Lord pushing me to take advantage of the opportunities I have now in Him. And for my life, just personally, that looks like my family. That looks like ministry. It looks like hanging out with you guys. And it's something I'm very thankful for. And to branch off of that as well, the thankful for you guys. Like I'd mentioned,
how many branches is this?
I've got the biggest tree that I got to go through.
Sorry,
these are all just notes and notes. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what I was talking about anymore. Oh yeah. There's been little insights. Yeah, this is a branch. There's been little insights this year to more aspects of Christian culture. May it be through seeing clips from different events or different churches, or hearing what's going on, even in local churches and different things like that. Just different insights into the realm of Christian culture in general that have just made me overwhelming. That I've realized how, to be really descriptive, how sheltered I have been from the downfall and failures. Maybe too strong of a term, but that's what I mean. Like the active misrepresentation of the gospel. May it be malicious or may it just be ignorance. Still, it's misrepresentation of who Christ is. And I think that I've been overwhelmingly blessed with the community that we've had and the between the three of us, but also just the goals that we've had to make it not about us, make it not about who we are, but just who Christ is. And I think that has become such a norm for me that I'm still so shocked. And I remember just the way that people mishandle the gospel and the way that people do ministry. I'm still just shocked by it. And I remember praying back in the 710. I had a similar thought. I forget what it was about specifically, but it was about my shock value. And I remember actively praying that God would never let me become jaded for things like that. And I think now looking back, it's 10 years ago. I think that He's been faithful to answering that prayer. I don't know exactly how I'd say that, but like, I don't want to not be appalled by the way that people misuse the word of my God. I want to be taken aback and say, and let that drive me to correctly represent who He is and drive my ministry, and how I love people and how I proclaim the gospel to people and how I shepherd people. Like the fact is that I mean, what we've experienced a lot of the 456ers has been a lot of people that have come from hurt, come from people who have misused the pulpit and misused ministry and misused those types of relationships, where now we have the opportunity to show the comfort and the goodness and the grace of God. And it's as much as that breaks my heart, I think that it's also continues to light a fire within me to push how I shepherd. And also with taking out the opportunities with, I'm shepherding the younger community of the church. And so recognizing like, these are people who probably have experienced, some of them have experienced church hurt, but a lot of them aren't as ingrained in a misunderstanding of who God is because they just haven't had the time under that type of teaching. And so now we have the opportunity to encourage a foundation of truth that when they graduate, go out to college, to have their own families, like they're not having to relearn or unlearn a whole bunch of stuff. They can just hopefully if they hear false teaching or whatever, they're able to be like, oh, that's not who God is. It's not who the gospel is. That's not the truth of the scripture because of how we have shepherded here. So I know that was kind of all over the place, but I'm thankful for the community we have with each other and with the 456. And I think that that's been a huge catalyst, a massive catalyst between my relationship with the Lord of just being just content. If that's a good word to use, just
it's a great word.
Content in Him. I have other things that list I can go off, but I'm okay with this. Just kind of going around and talking about random things if you're cool with it.
I've been really thankful for the simpler community. And I know that's a lot of people at the 456. I know there's obviously people outside of the 456 that listen, but the ones I see on a fairly consistent basis and talk to at the 456, it's been cool to see how it has become kind of a community. Yeah. Like where we talk through like us three talk through these things, and then it's a consistent conversation that happens outside of us three. And that was kind of our heart in the beginning, is that these would just launch conversations where people, whether they agree with us or disagree with us, would begin to speak about these things with each other, where they talk and like then there's that growth. So it's been really cool to see how the community has become a community where these are conversations that are happening. As much as I know that it's kind of this is a small community comparatively, it is funny how there are ripples, or in Pierce's terms, branches of this that go out.
Lots of branches.
Go out past us. Like I sometimes I hear now, like other places will say something about, they'll like talk about an idea within like church culture or theology, and I'm like, man, this is what we've been talking about. Not that we were the ones who sparked that, but it's like God's doing something where he's like changing people's perspective. I did a college retreat not too long ago, and I just basically talked about Jesus being core in our life. Like it was some passages on like letting Jesus be the center of your life, being the core of your life, do everything you do for his glory. And it's funny how like that, I kept hearing from the college students, like they were saying this is an idea that has been coming up a lot lately.
That's
and
cool.
I think it's because the culture is changing. So I'm really thankful for the opportunity to have these conversations, and then having a community that begins to have these conversations along with us. So that's been super cool. I've also been super thankful for our church. It's been fun to have a church environment where, like, when I hear other people talking about their churches, I usually stay silent, because I feel like it's always going to sound like I'm saying our church is better. And that's not what I mean to do, because there's no church that's in that regard. Like if you have good churches, all proclaiming the scripture, all love Jesus, like there's not one better. But there's like, people will talk about things happening at their church, and I don't even try to jump in the conversation, because I'm like, well, that's not like an issue. We deal with here, like, we're not arguing about alcohol. We're not arguing about, like moralistic stuff. I'm sure
the three of us actually like each other.
That's
right.
true.
And it's I've been thankful to have the opportunity to be part of a local body, a local church where people actually want to know Jesus and live for his glory. And I feel like, I've seen this even in San Angelo, like there's a lot of ministries where pastors have to work so hard to get their church to move back to a starting line where they can begin to teach that. They spend so much time moving people away from an idea that life is about something other than Jesus. And it was like, man, how cool is it that we get to have a church where we just have the opportunity to just proclaim Jesus and people come. And my sister and her husband just moved back to San Angelo, and her husband's actually taken a pastor job at my dad's church. But I think they had come earlier this year, maybe late last year, to the 456 once. And my sister was like, I was so shocked at like the variety of age you guys have at church. I think everybody just assumes we have this like all 20 somethings at our church. But I think it's because there's a group of people of various ages that like want to jump on board on this journey of living life for the glory of Jesus. And
it's been super cool to see the age range.
Yeah, and I'm really thankful for that, because I think that there's so much health as far as our local church that comes in with us having literally we have babies up until like, what is George, like 94?
93? Yeah.
That's a lot of range, So that's been really, really cool. I've been thankful for that. I've been thankful also in that regards to be part of a church community that doesn't view us as pastors from like a working for the church perspective, because that makes it so much easier to do ministry.
Yeah.
To be part of a church that has that perspective.
Yeah.
I have a lot more branches to go off of, but
more branches to go off of. Did you have anything else you wanted to say, Ryan? I know we didn't set that forum when you started talking.
I'm not thankful for anything else.
He's done. I'll say this.
If you are done, I can keep talking, but I want to give you the chance to say.
I'll say this.
After. You're fine.
This has been an incredibly blah year for me. Like, I don't know, it just feels mundane. And maybe some of that is like busyness. Some of it is like, I think there is a lot of like, with the growth of people at church, there's a lot of things that we're trying to figure out and shape and move forward. And it for a long time, I think when we were small, it was like really easy to like implement things
Sure.
for the church. And now it's a little bit harder because it's for a bigger group of people. So there's more thought, more processing, more concept development, more even the administration of it. Like everything gets tougher. So it's like, I feel like we've been, maybe this is what you were saying earlier, Ryan, like I feel like we've been moving towards something really cool that's about to happen, but I don't know what that is yet.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, maybe it's because that's the process we're in right now. It feels blah. Like I'm ready for the reveal. Like, what is this? Yeah. I'm ready to know what it is, but it's like working in the process right now. It's like, I just want to see the finished result. So it's felt really blah.
Yeah.
Normally I think I would say like, man, I've been thankful that, I caught a giant bass this year. Like I won a disc golf tournament, and just not even know, like none of those things have happened. Like I haven't been fishing much. I haven't played a whole lot of disc golf tournaments. Even like the disc golf ministry I did this year was like building. It wasn't even
growth
like
year.
Yeah. So it's just felt, kind of like mundane and blah. And I think it's been a good reminder for me that even a year of life without like giant, like exciting things that happen is still a life where I can go, man, I'm thankful for these like core things in my life. Like my family is amazing. The church is amazing. Our staff is amazing. Like all these things that are foundational that I can still be thankful for. Man, even like football. Like I don't think any of my kids have won very many football games this year. It's just like everything's like you know what I mean? It's just like everything's mundane and blah. I think Grayson, they may have won one game. Seth's team, Central won one game. It's just like you're just getting used to losing at everything you do. And that's not good for me. It's not.
Yeah, you're very competitive.
No, I can't. Yeah.
I think we tend to think of Thanksgiving from the perspective, not Thanksgiving the holiday, but thankfulness. I think we tend to think of it from a perspective of being comfortable. So most of the times that people say what they're thankful for, it's things that make them comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for these things that are good that have happened. I'm thankful that I've had the food in my belly. I'm thankful that I have a roof over my head. I'm thankful that everybody in my family is healthy. I'm thankful. So what we tend to do as Christians is think about thankfulness from a perspective of what makes us comfortable, rather than to think about thankfulness from the perspective of who we are in Christ. And so while I don't want to throw anything under the bus that we've said so far, I think having a year where from a cultural perspective, it doesn't feel like there's a lot to be thankful for outside of a roof over my head and food in my belly and just pressing forward. As Christians, we're not promised any of those creature comforts. As humans, we're not. But I think as Christians, I think that, oh man, I just had a thought that I wanted to share with you guys. I forgot to share with you. Now is not the appropriate time for that.
I love that you just say it. Like now it's out there.
So
everybody knows.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Remind me later about Abraham. So I will get text from this. Wendy, I look forward to your text and we can talk about it. So, I get it.
Could be the members only podcast later.
Yes.
All of Ryan's inside thoughts.
I will say this, like I feel like sometimes we slip into just kind of the routine of life. And if we're not careful, if we're not careful, there's the opportunity, especially for people like me with a background in depression, with depression as part of who I have been in the past. It's really, there's a temptation to feel very dissatisfied in that. And a temptation to feel very uncomfortable, like very discontent. Pierce, you used the word content, and you said that you feel content. And sometimes when things are just pressing forward as normal, and we're having to kind of put your head down, go forward, do the work, sometimes we're not thankful for that. But I am having to be deliberate in my thinking about the things of God. So there are about 8 things legitimately right now that I really want to do in my life. And I have a deep desire for all of them. And some of them move me forward spiritually, and some of them are just personal things that I've really wanted to do. And some of them are goals that I've had in terms of physical health and strength and different things. But like, there are so many things that I want to do, and I practically can't do all 8 of them right now in my life. It's just, there's not room to do that. And so I find myself constantly discontent because I can't ever, something that I'm passionate about is having to be put to the side. And so I feel like I'm robbing from myself all the time because I'm putting energy into thing A, which means thing D is not being done. But then if I do thing D, I feel like I'm cheating something else. And what I know is that these are all things that God has cultivated in me. I'm convinced of it. And I think that they are all things that will have a place and a time in my life. They just aren't all able to be done today. And so I am thankful. I know this might sound weird. I am thankful that I still want more. I think sometimes in our life, in our families, in our pursuit of God, I think we get to a place, and this isn't, I am not correcting what you said, Pierce. I think for me, let me just speak about myself. I think sometimes for me, I have the tendency to get so content and so comfortable where I'm at that I don't desire more of the things of God, that I lose ambition, I lose drive because right now is pretty good. And
I don't mean complacent by any means.
I know you don't. That's why I'm saying this is not a correction.
Maybe there's a different word we can use instead of contentment.
Instead
of contentment, because I think I know. I was just gonna.
Pierce.
Shut your mouth. I just think that I'm just thinking of future, because you're right. I think that there is something that pushes us, that drives us.
Yeah.
But even within us being pushed, that doesn't change. Like, you're not discontent with who you are in Christ.
Not at all.
Maybe you're just with.
I can make it practical, because I'm probably more driven than most people in life in general, but I find myself incredibly content, like with the things that I have.
Yeah.
And it doesn't change my drive.
So maybe I need to use a different word than content, because I have felt.
I think comfortable is the right word.
I have felt.
Because I know what you're saying. I don't ever feel that. I don't find myself lulled into comfortability.
I have felt so unsettled this year because, because there's so much pulling at me that I want to do. Not bad stuff. Not any, I'm not resentful of any of the things. I'm not saying I wish I was doing this less. Like, I want to do it all. And because I can't practically right now, I'm feeling unsettled. It's like, man, I'm leaving so much that I want to do undone. What is exciting to me, though.
Do you feel content? Because I feel like that might be maybe what I actually think I could totally hear what you're saying, Pierce. I think that I don't feel like those have to be mutually exclusive. I think that the best way to be driven is by contentment. Like when you are
flesh that out,
content with where you are, it allows you a foundation to move forward from. If you're not content, then you're probably going to be grasping for something that you don't know what it is you're after.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
except for my things aren't ambiguous things. I know very specifically the things that I want to accomplish.
Yeah, but here's what I mean.
Yeah.
You wouldn't look at Michelle and the boys and be like, I'm just not content with just having you guys.
No.
That's what I mean. It's like, when you say content, what you're actually expressing is emotional desire to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish.
Yes.
Which doesn't mean you're not content. I think that might be where we're describing it differently.
Okay.
What you're describing could be what you think of as contentment. And so maybe we need a different word.
Yeah.
But I feel like having those goals without a foundational I think content's the best word. I'm content with the things that are existing in my life. I don't think those other goals you're ever going to find that in.
No.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like, you're not going to find contentment in those other things if you're not content with what you have now.
I'm not unhappy. I feel more desire than I've ever felt in my life. And that is weirdly something I'm excited and thankful for.
Yeah. I
Because I'm not slowing down. Like, I started a couple of weeks ago. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, summarizing. And I thought, okay, there has to be a good systematic approach to this. So I've started in the New Testament because I think that makes more sense. But I am outlining every book of the New Testament with one sentence or two sentences per chapter. because my goal is to get to a point where when somebody says, well, Matthew 16, and I can go and recall those one or two sentences and go, here's what that's talking about. So like I can walk right now, I could walk through the entirety of the book of Romans. I could walk through the entirety of the book of Hebrews. I could walk through the entirety of the book of James. I could walk through the entirety of the book of Galatians, and that's about it. Like, I want to be more thorough.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know?
Yeah.
And so like,
my guess is this is a personality thing too. Like what you're experiencing that you're thankful for, this drive to move forward, is also the thing that like makes you uncomfortable with saying content, because for you that might lull you into complacency.
I don't want to stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
With you.
Like,
I'm with you. We're just talking, like we need to stop. I think we need to stop in this conversation trying to figure out words.
Yeah.
And just use a description.
I just, I submitted a short story to a writing contest at the end of October. I have several books that I want to write.
It's a value system.
Yes.
Like you're expressing, like there's some things that have been of value to you for a long time that you're finally like being able to like reach at and grasp towards.
But there are other things, as our church is growing, there are other things that pull on my time. And I'm getting to teach a lot more and meet people a lot more, which means something else has to not be done as much. And it's super interesting because I'm not resentful of the first thing because it's taking away from the other thing. But like, I don't know. I feel more driven right now than I've ever felt. And like I said, I feel like I'm in a growth period.
It's just like that Geico commercial where it's like you have a dude who's like super skinny,
and then he gets stronger and stronger with every
pans
cut.
Another cut, and it comes back to him, and he's looking a little bit more every time.
I don't know, man. I am excited to see what comes next. You said something similar to Micah a moment ago, and there are a lot of things before me, and I am excited to see what comes next.
It makes me think. I was having a conversation with Matt Stanley recently about time. Like we were both expressing how we've realized in our 40s, like how much that means to us. Just time in general, like it really does begin to surpass the idea of any kind of like monetary contentment, like monetary comfortability.
Yeah, our time is super valuable.
Yeah. So what's hard is, Matt and I were talking about this, like what it seems like right now is if you sacrifice, unless you just have an exorbitant amount of money, you sacrifice the money for the time in any capacity. So you could, I mean, we're talking about this, like Matt could like quit his job right now and enjoy all the time he would have, but like they would be in a tough spot financially. You're sacrificing the one for the other. I mean, I think we've talked about that before. Like we could take jobs at other places, other churches that offer us these jobs where we would get paid comfortably. But what we would be sacrificing is the opportunity to do church like we're doing it now. The time we have, the ability you have to teach and to spend time with people is the time. You know what I mean? And eventually we'll get you to a place, hopefully as a church, where the money's not the issue, where you're able to not have to worry about that in regards to things like painting, where you're able to like have the drive without having to think about it from a monetary perspective.
Without the obligation.
Yes. But it's just kind of the nature of life though, is like there does seem to be that ebb and flow where you kind of have to sacrifice one for the other. But I do think that like I am really thankful for my time.
I don't know. God has got to do some work in me because I'm wasting too much time. I don't know.
That's so funny to hear you say that.
I've got to figure it out.
I feel like right now I need to chill. Last Sunday, I've had these allergies the last week or so. Are you biting your cup lid, Ryan?
I thought you forgot how to drink a drink for a second there.
Biting your cup lid.
No, the tea was all over the lid. I didn't want to spill it.
We have that on video now.
Yeah, I know. We got it.
How does Ryan like to drink?
Just attack the cup. Liquid's in here somewhere.
I am thankful for all the memes that we gather for Ryan.
Just Ryan.
So we really need to add another elder that's more bent my way so that
it's a level playing field.
I can have somebody to defend me from time to time.
I mean, I don't think Darren's going to help you out.
So question, how would you defend for what you just did?
There's no defending.
Move on. What are you thankful for, Pierce?
Allergies.
Not allergies. And then last Saturday after Grayson's football game, I literally just like laid on the bed and I totally needed to do it. And I fell asleep for a couple hours. And then I was going to go harvest some wood at Nolan and Tracy's. And then I was like, this is a terrible idea. So I just chilled the rest of the day. And it really made Sunday better. Like I felt a lot better on Sunday.
Needed it, yeah.
And then Sunday afternoon, I was going to go home and rest and remembered that I have this garage workshop.
Mhm.
And what's hard about doing epoxy stuff, wood and epoxy, is that there's a drying time and I can't use my workshop if there's epoxy drying because I'll get dust in the epoxy.
Makes sense.
And so I remembered that I needed to pour some epoxy Sunday afternoon so it'd be dry by like Tuesday when I get to start back in the workshop again.
Mhm.
And so when I'm supposed to be resting, I'm pouring epoxy in the garage and Cami pops her head in the garage and she's like, thought you were supposed to be resting today. And so it's like,
Yeah.
I need to flip. I actually probably need to find some time where I'm chilling more. But see, for me, it's like, what's chill time for me that I need to implement more of is like going out and
Fish. or
doing
whatever.
something,
Yeah.
leisurely. It's more of like a mental thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't actually have a problem physically resting when my body will be like, you're done, and I just have to take a nap,
Yeah.
which is fine. But but I am incredibly thankful that I have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
I can't do it as much in the summer, but man, fall and spring, like I love the flexibility of
Mhm.
being able
Mhm.
to change my weeks up a little bit like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like the branches.
There's several branches, you know.
Give us another branch.
Yeah, I had being a baby this year.
Yeah, you
gotta
guys.
be thankful for
I was
that.
really thankful for Adeline.
You
Two
also
little
bought a
girls,
house.
man.
You bought a new house.
Bought a
this year.
house this year. Yeah, absolutely. So there's, I don't know, my year was not very blah in
No.
regards to life accomplishments.
not.
And your
Um,
wife changed her career. You guys had a big year.
Finished the master's degree. Yeah, she finished that. So she's kind of in between jobs in regards to that right now. But she had the opportunity to be able to work from home and be with a new baby. And so like
Yeah, that's
there,
super
she
cool.
was. It's so like from our perspective, like she went from going nonstop to being able to be home 6 days out of the week.
It's
Like,
awesome.
which is dope. Which is awesome. So
Yeah, because she'd been doing school and work for a few years.
Yeah, and leading up to the end there, she was 9 months pregnant. She's 8 months. So like that
Yeah.
whole last
Insane.
semester, she was on the tail end of pregnancy. So like,
She's probably thankful to have all that
it's just
behind her.
which is funny. Then we were like, let's move to a house and let's move and start a whole new project.
and a house that needs a lot
Needs
of
a
work.
lot of work.
But it'll
Yeah,
be
yeah.
it's going to be so cool.
Dude,
It'll
gonna be
be a
dope.
complete flip.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
The
absolutely.
only thing you're not doing is tearing the sheetrock off the walls.
It's different than everything else though, which is so funny. Like I feel like we've talked about like this feeling of things happening for actually a little bit. There was a couple years ago, I think it was on Stafford Street, Mike. I was just talking, and I think I was just venting some stuff out. And you were like, well, I know what that is. Like God's preparing you for something, whatever that is. And I mean, and I think that over the past few years, I mean, my family's grown, the church has grown. There's been a lot that I feel like God was really kind of maturing in me and growing me for
Right.
within those moments. But I do think more specifically, there's just been a lot on our hearts in regards to ministry and the fact of like this of the changes that are taking place and the growth that we're experiencing, not just numerically, but what we've expressed spiritually here as well. So like, so over the past few years, I've been excited for that. And I think that I'm curious if next year we're going to be like, that's what it was. And we're here now. We prepared it. But I feel like we're going to just to branch off again, Brian, of what you said. As you were talking, we've talked a few episodes ago about how, I forget the language we use, but ever since the tough conversation last year or whatever, how there's been a shift in you. And then now this year, I think you said this year, there's been a lot more enjoyment in Bible reading instead of, and there's been a lot more refreshing, like those types of terms that you're using. And I think too, just based off the 10 years that I've known you, it's interesting. I think you've had like stuff you're doing, and then like, those aren't necessarily completed, but they're already in motion. And then I think even subconsciously, you're ready for the next thing to be in motion. And it's cool to see it from the perspective for you that's not from an obligation standpoint, it's from an excited standpoint. So I think as you were talking, I was realizing like, but this is all coming from a place of contentment, because you seem secure in who you are in Christ, secure in our relationship, secure what the 456 is doing, secure. I think the thing that you've never ever seemed insecure in, from my perspective, has been your marriage.
Yeah. No.
And so like, I think that it's been cool to see like the Lord kind of work in your life of how you have this level of security that now I think that's probably why these passions and drives feel so different to you, is because it's based on a firm foundation, like you know what I mean? Like I'm
not trying to earn an identity.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're not trying to prove anything to anybody. Fair. You're living it out. And I think so I'm just, as your friend, I'm thankful for that as well.
Micah has been telling me for years that I needed to be more confident in my abilities.
I just think you need to be better, you know?
Although he constantly tells me that's a stupid thing.
You just need to be confident.
We're not talking about your abilities. We're talking about your language.
He's like, yeah, you said that wrong. Say that differently. Like every other day.
If it makes you feel any better, I say that to everybody.
But it doesn't make me feel better. But
you're just like everybody, man.
I know. Yeah.
My poor kids.
Yeah. But I'm not trying to earn anything. I'm just, for the first time in my life, I feel like, man, these are all things I can do. Yeah. And I want to do every single one of them.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited for what that means for us, for the 456, for us as friends, for your family. Like, that's exciting. Yeah. I forgot to finish my thought a second ago, but kind of like the fire within, or like the sense that something's coming and being prepared for that and things like that. The moment that, like the first night in this new house, there was a level of like, oh, this is where we are. Like this is where we're going to be. And both Hannah and mine heart ever since being really ever since really being at the 456, we've wanted to be able to serve and open our home and we've wanted to express hospitality. We want to do meals. We want to build people up. We want those things. And Delwood was like the perfect way for us to take ownership of that because we had more space to be able to do it. And then this opportunity arose. And I think both of us are just like, this is it. Like we're going to be able to really open this place up and just get as many people as we can in here and love on them and serve them and eat together and laugh together and share the gospel. And that's been a part of our daily prayers with our girls as we're going to bed. It's just like thankful for this home that we have this opportunity. You know, we've had the opportunity for sure, but looking at where we're at Princeton versus like a space like this is,
and I think what's
crazy.
Cool is you're to some degree reaping the benefits of what you've sown in regards to real estate. Like the reason you're able to move into this house now is because you guys have done well in the houses you've had before and moving towards this. So this has kind of been a goal.
Absolutely.
For a while. And now you're getting to reap the rewards of
which is so exciting. Very thankful for that.
And you were the only person ever who's ever taken my advice on this kind of stuff. Ever.
Yeah. Looking back, like, I don't know why. We were friends for 3 or 4 years at that point. So about a little over 4 years. I guess we really established trust because I was like, this is a big step. But I mean, I don't know. On paper, it makes so much sense. I'm going to be paying less for rent.
I think you understood the concept enough, even though you weren't like super handy at that point. You understood it enough to go, this is worth the risk.
Yeah. And it was.
Because it wasn't really much of a risk.
No. And it worked out.
And you're thankful for that.
And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful, yeah. So I'm glad I had someone like you to push me. I need to start pushing everybody around me and see what happens. They all take the risk. They all lose their money. Well, that's part of the risk. Oops.
Yeah, it definitely takes a certain kind of
shoving people.
Yeah.
You're like, just pushing people down. Wait a minute. That's not what it was.
What are you doing?
You also spent so much time with me on the road, and I'm sure at that point, I'm just like verbally processing all the things I'm thinking about doing as you're listening. So you're probably just getting, I'm just like throwing up all these ideas on you.
Yeah. We could probably keep going for different things in life. Do we want to wrap it up? Cool. Yeah. That's the complete comprehensive list of our thankfulness. And we're thankful, we're thankful that you joined us on today. So we'd love to hear from you guys. What are you thankful for? What was this year? Was this year more of a blah year where your kids won't stop losing at their sports, or was there a lot of things? I mean, I have a little blue-eyed girl that I love so much that like going into parenthood back, you can rewind or not rewind, but go find previous episodes of me asking you guys like, what's it like to have 2 kids, and just the amount of blessing it is to have this little cuddly ball of awesomeness, and have her blue eyes stare at me and
I think our very first episode was just like a week or 2 before your first child was born.
Yeah. So it was May 27th of 2020. Then it was like then the teens, May 13th or something like that was our first episode.
But we started this in May of 2020.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Like a month and a half into COVID. lot to be thankful for, but we'd love to hear from you guys. What was this year like for you? What are you thankful for? Do you struggle with an idea of thankfulness? What word should we use in regards to contentment? There's lots of things to respond to, but go find us at social media at simplerpod. That's where you can contact us, can get a hold of us. Go show Steven some love at 87 Realty Group. He's awesome. And hey, as always, keep Christ as core. What could be simpler than that? Catch y'all next week. Bye.
I got to remember to change a shirt.